Say, for example, once they suspect you're onto them and aren't buying their bullshit story they've been working so hard to convince you of, or something you've done or said triggers their thinly veiled insecurity and deep feelings of inferiority. When this happens, they'll become silent and bitter and sulk like the emotional toddler that they are. They communicate passive aggressively, rarely directly. For example, pouting, sighing, the silent treatment, and stonewalling. They're cowards. Ask them if something's wrong and they'll say no, everything's fine, even though it's very clear it isn't. They can't just adult and deal head on. It's always about the childish games. They're big on perception manipulation, often through toxic gossip and storytelling, using truth out of context, telling half-truths, lying by omission, spinning narratives, and leaving out big pieces of the truth, lest you figure out that they're actually the one and only author of their own ongoing and never-ending misery and misfortune. Like all narcissists, they're pathologically envious and feel they deserve what others have, even though they're unwilling to work for it or make the changes that would enable them to attract and create the same for themselves. They also carry a lot of anger and tend to stomp and scream and rage when they can't get their own way, or target you indirectly and passive-aggressively behind your back to vent and project their rage, but then smile nice to your face when you're present. To say that you're dealing with an entitled, childish ingrate who needs the whole world to see what a victim they are and feel sorry for them would be right over the target. Like their more grandiose counterparts on this spectrum of destructive narcissism, they lack empathy for the feelings and experiences of others. They have zero ability to genuinely empathize with the impact of their appalling attitudes, choices, behavior, and energy-sucking demeanor have on other people. So how do we manage the covert narcissist with strength? Well, the same way we do any other destructive narcissist. It begins with radical acceptance. Understand who and what you're dealing with and stay in the truth of your experience and your reality. Then have realistic expectations. These people do not change. The sooner you surrender to that reality, the better off you'll be. Once you've accepted the reality of the situation and you're operating from a place of realistic expectations, you'll want to start practicing the gray rock method. And if you don't know what that is, you can watch this video here to learn more about how that works. But suffice to say, your goal is to detach with as little drama and trauma as possible. You can do this by becoming as uninterested and uninteresting as humanly possible. And from there, you want to stop engaging to the best of your ability. Don't give any narcissistic supply through your attention or emotional reaction. Any attention is better than no attention to a narcissist. So cut off the source of narcissistic supply by giving them no attention and no reaction. Do not explain or defend yourself. And whatever you do, do not personalize their negativity or distorted perceptions of reality. Understand what is their stuff and what is yours, and don't take on their garbage. Stand in your truth with the intent to disengage in so much as you're able. Establish low contact or no contact if you can do it. The point is, keep your distance. And lastly, refuse to be manipulated. Do not allow their painful history or victim story to be an excuse for their appalling, entitled, and infantile way of showing up in the world. You aren't doing them any favors by giving them a pass and another pass and another pass while they continue to manipulate, exploit, and harm you. Now here's the thing. When you start pulling away from a covert narcissist, they will pull the big victim card. For example, emotional manipulation, childish outbursts, rageful attacks, perhaps even threats of suicide. If they sense that you're getting ready to discard them, they'll become resentful, and one way or another, they're going to lash out. Now, usually they'll do this through passive-aggressive behavior, never directly, unless of course they feel cornered, then look out. But in general, the covert narcissist is a coward, so you can generally expect passive-aggressive stuff like smearing you to anyone who will listen. This sort of thing is more their style. The bottom line is this. These people do not change. Their maladaptive personality significantly worsens under stress or disappointment and the threat of exposure. So make no mistake, covert narcissists are absolutely as dangerous and destructive as more overt and grandiose narcissists. They'll just do much of the damage behind your back in more sneaky, underhanded, and sinister ways because they lack the courage to confront you face to face, being the weak little cowards that they are. So if you can, identify the traits early, establish some boundaries, have realistic expectations for who and what you're dealing with. Recognize that it's not your job to fix, rescue, help, or save them. Decide that you will not let their projection, manipulation, and victim stance determine how you feel about yourself. Do not fall for the BS and do not allow them to gaslight you. This is what narcissists do. Covert or overt, they talk to you and about you in such a way that anything that goes wrong is going to be all your fault. And anything that they do or don't do is also all your fault. That, my friends, is one of the ways they attempt to gaslight us. You'll hear phrases like, I didn't do that. I'm not the one who's angry. Why are you being so sensitive?